So I just got off the phone with I was watching the news, right? Fox News, Chicago. And they said a man had, on 103rd in Harlem, had been killed by the police. And then they showed his girl. And then my girlfriend's like, hey, you know her. And then I read the story and I put it up earlier. And the man had a BB gun, they say. I wasn't there. Allegedly a BB gun. She got arrested for a warrant. She was in the back of the police car. They were taking her to jail. He was in a van. He pulled up to the back of the police, Crown Vic or whatever, cruiser. Boom. Nudged it, I guess. She was in the back seat. The guy got out of the car. Her boyfriend, I guess he had a BB gun brandished. He brandished it. The police, core shots. He died right there. She said she was kicking. Anyway, so then the girl was kicking the window and she's going crazy. Her boyfriend just been murdered, or not murdered, but killed. So I texted her today. I'm like, hey, because she's on my Facebook, and you know how everybody has Messenger. You alright, man? But, normal condolences. I just lost something also, but it wasn't my love. So I felt bad. I wanted to just tell her that. But she actually called me back and starts telling me the story. And she was on the news, too. I saw her on the news. They didn't have her face. They had this shot from, the back of the head. She starts telling me, man, I was in the squad, and he came up to the police car, and the police shot him right in front of me, and I freaked out. And she's like, man, I loved him. This guy, he was an Iraq war veteran. Or a vet, and he told her he never wanted to be without her, and apparently he was on medication. The PTSD, who the fuck is it? These people are loud, man. Anti this or that, or antidepressants, or, psychoactive drugs. And he said he didn't ever want to be without her, and he lost his mind when he saw her in cuffs, But I would never say it's the right thing to do to brandish a weapon to the police in 2019, 2020. I'm never going to do that, and I don't wish for anybody to ever do that. But I also feel for this girl because she lost her love right there in front of her, 3 days ago. And she was talking to me, and it was hard to hear. I had her on speaker. It was just hard to listen to because it's so sad. And my girlfriend was right there. And you can't even imagine the loss these people go through. And, I guess he had post-traumatic stress disorder or syndrome or whatever they call it. But damn, this is a crazy world, man. And it just seems like as the days go by, things get closer and closer to me. Not they don't touch me, but things happen and it speeds up and these days go by quick, man. And we are here. We're 2020. That's a year that I thought was only a number used in science fiction books, but we're in it. This is it. But I just wanted to tell everybody I talked to this girl, and it's so surreal that you see something on the television. But imagine how surreal it was, not for me, really, it was just kind of crazy, but for her. And she was talking to me about it, and she's like, I still can't believe it's real. I can't believe. She's like, I never loved anybody who had anybody love me that much. And I believe they had been together about a year. So it's still the honeymoon phase, man. A year in, it's still the honeymoon phase, I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years in. That's the, gonna get married phase. But, you've been together a while. But, so I can't imagine the losses people take. I mentioned in my videos before having a lost family that was a sibling. But I couldn't imagine how my mother felt. It's It's a crazy world, and that's why I'm trying to be honorable. I'm trying to be an honest, honorable, helpful, you know, good man in this one life I have. I've seen too many people my age die now. It's every day somebody's dead. Then you run into a buddy you haven't seen in 6 months and he tells you 3 people have died. And it blows you away. You're like, no way. I had a friend tell me, yeah, did you hear what happened to what's his name? I'm like, damn, for real? Then he was like, yeah, just like another person. I'm like, what do you mean just like another person? He's like, yeah, they're both gone. I'm like, no way. And Anya just looks, I tell Anya, and she's like, no. No. Some of these people are kind-hearted. Not everybody's a sicko in Chicago. But we have a lot of them in this world. And of course, I always try to not blame the person. I try to say they were victims. And now they want to be the predator. Because they were preyed upon. You know? I noticed that with a lot of these people. And it's just a lot of bad juju around here, man. South side of Chicago, the west side, the whole damn thing. South suburbs, they're a wasteland, industrial wasteland. Markham and all that shit, where I live, right here, down here, it's Gary Jr. But I always seen beauty in the struggle. I always seen it. I always seen beauty in poverty. Not poverty, like we don't have extreme. We have American poverty. People say there's parts of Chicago that are third world, but they've done a lot to make this city better. At least visually. The people are still the people. They don't change, but they're not living in it's not as run down. But down here on the south side, no, they don't care. Nobody cares to make this place look better. It didn't get remodeled or revamped like the near the Loop downtown area. That whole place got a fucking facelift. Down here it's the same old industrial wasteland shit. But I just wanted to say I talked to this girl and it's crazy talking to these people who have just lost people like that. And that's another young man, and I'm a young man that, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about, and I'm not going to sit here and assume things, but I do know he served in, the armed services. So he had a future that was bright, and he had some kind of discipline in order to go overseas and to fight. That's more than a lot of us can say. I mean, it's more than I can say. I didn't do that. My discipline came from fucking being forced to go without. And, a lot of our discipline comes from county jail where it's like survival of the fittest discipline. And a lot of friends get their discipline from prison. That's the only time they were disciplined enough because they were forced to work out. And now they're fucking huge. I mean, the muscles wear off after a while of not working out. That's the most discipline many of us kids have, But, another buddy of mine I was just talking to, his mother died. He was in jail. His mom died. He didn't go to the funeral. Didn't get to go to the funeral. I mean, these people aren't angels, of course. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I'm starting to look at life differently. It's not playtime anymore. And this next generation, sometimes to me, I'm like, is there going to be another generation? This is 3 generations now that I could speak of. Because I didn't know the great-grandparents, barely. They were so old. I did have a great-grandma I knew. But just looking at their generation, they were a little more disciplined. They didn't have all the pitfalls and distractions and traps to fall. The drugs, the alcohol. I mean, they didn't have it as hard as, I think, or as many distractions. But my mother's generation, they were bar people. They were forest preserve. Actually, they were city people that grew up in the south side of Chicago. And then there was white flight. And they went out to where, like, there's these forest preserves on the edge of, like, Chicago city limits on the south side. And there's nothing past that. After that, it's country. But all the city people are packed on the one east to the lake. And all they were was bar people, and bar people went to the bar and they cashed their checks. People didn't have banks. People didn't have credit cards. People didn't have driver's licenses. Driver's licenses were a piece of paper with no picture. They had a different life. And they were allowed to go fuck off at the bar and still be able to make rent. They were allowed to drive home drunk. Now you get a DUI. These kids get a DUI at 21, 22, 23. The next 4 years of their life are a living hell. And not only that, that's just the drinking kids. They're fucked up. But what about all the dope fiends and drug addicts and crackheads and heroin addict girls, prostitutes who I've seen die? I mean, I'm going to look up the numbers, man. The numbers must be unbelievable at how many people have died. Children of baby boomers, children of grandchildren of baby boomers. And hopefully the next generation, we can do something to make sure these kids, because I think we've about hit rock bottom. We're about rock bottom, my generation. And then the ones who are one paycheck away from like losing whatever they had, or if they got fired, they'd be fucked. I see a lot of them like acting like they have no understanding of, because they've had the same job for 3 years or something, no understanding of anymore. They forgot what it's like to struggle, and there's no like community. There's no camaraderie. There's no empathy for the next man. It's like that song, grab a stack and stash it fast. It's just every man for himself out here. It really is ugly. That's why I want to be an honorable man. Start some kind of men's group. Because I think men, especially white men, they don't have any sense of anything. It's just they're all alone in this world. They have to figure it out, and they don't network, and some do, I'm sure, but it's like they're all alone. Divided we stand, alone we fall. Same thing with all the different races. You got black people that a lot of people say are in complete disarray. They just were talking on the news as I was watching that thing about the girl I spoke about. Right after that, they were convicting these 3 black guys for shooting the 7-year-old boy in the head in the alley. And part of the prosecution, one of the main parts of the conviction, was when the man went to Cook County Jail, a police informant or a Cook County Jail informant wore a recording device, or they put it in a cell. And these dudes in the county, when you go to the county, they tell your cellie, when you walk into a cell, 9 times out of 10 is going to tell you his whole case and how he did it and why they really, or maybe he didn't do it, but he's going to tell you if he did. They don't lie to me. People don't lie to me. If they don't want to talk about it, it's fine, but usually they do. If it ain't the first 2 days, eventually. But he was on fucking recording, bragging about how he shot the little boy to another, I think they were gangsters, I'm not sure, bragging to another fellow gang member. I think in the newspaper they tried to say they were gangster disciples, but don't quote me on that. And they killed the other, I'm assuming a black disciple, because they had a war going on. And the one dude's grandma got hit or his brother died, so they came back and they lured him out of the park and killed him in the alley, and he was bragging about it. And this man's 21, bragging. They're saying, the defense said, no, he was just bragging about killing that boy because he wanted to look cool in front of fellow gang members, because they were in the maximum security Division 9 in Cook County Jail, and Division 9 is a very dangerous place. And they were saying how a lot of people, get jumped and stabbed and shit. And I've been to Division 9 one time, and I didn't belong there. Nobody does, though. Nobody does. Division 10 was crazy, too. It was just the same Division 6. The whole damn county, but I digress. Everybody, God bless, and give your loved ones a hug, and let's all try to be kind to one another. Good people stay with me. If you're one of those people who have some kind of issue with me. I mean, that's up to you. That's your deal. I'm not into really fighting with you. But everybody, God bless, peace.